Um, I think I do better when I'm applying my versatility than being very narrow and very specialized in a particular area. So I'm trying to give a background as to my person that allows me to embrace pivoting and changing and transitioning. So I would say these personal traits of mine were things I recognized early on in life, and I've been able to use them somewhat positively. Sometimes I burn my fingers. Sometimes it happens greatly and I'm excited about it. But for monitoring and evaluation and pivoting, I think the first pivot I did was going into, we met at a particular job. I don't want to mention names. And I had to move on to another job. And from there, I became a policy advisor. If you remember, I moved from monitoring and evaluation to policy um, advisory. And what gave me that impetus? So where I was coming from before I became an M&E person, I was working on policy issues, doing a bit of data analysis, and also doing monitoring and evaluation. Because of the data analysis component of my career path, it was just a natural choice when we needed a monitoring and evaluation person to say, oh, Catherine, you understand the policy element of our work. You do data, you do analysis almost every month. Then I used to contribute into something we called a monthly bulletin, advising policy advice or policy outfits about um, peace and security trend issues in Nigeria and in West Africa. So I had a good blend of the policy issues, the programming issues, and then the data part of it. So it was just a natural choice when the organization was keen about M&E to say, oh, Catherine, we're going to you will be the first person to spearhead this within the organization. We send you for training. And then that was how I got into M&E in the first instance. So when we met, I saw the opportunity to become a full-fledged monitoring and evaluation advisor, and I took it. I took it again, thinking about it that I love chaos. I wouldn't say I was an expert at that point, but I know I've got some skill sets that might not totally be within M&E alone, but they are subsidiary and complementary skills that I could bring to M&E and make it even look better. So I'm not just talking data, I'm talking about policy, I'm talking about programming and how all of those sit together. That was how I got into M&E. So when I was going back to policy advisor, it was more like going back to my first love because that was what I did before I became an M&E advisor. And so going back to policy and also underlining that I love politics. Anyone who knows me know how much I love politics. I love people. I love institution. I love institutionalization. I love social issues, social values, people, society, family. So all of those makes me really interested in the policy space. And so I embraced it as going back to my first love. And I'm still very happy for that experience because I was able to contribute to so many policy issues in Nigeria, like employment policy. And I mean, so many economic policies I worked on. I don't want to go into details or, brandishing some numbers. But so when I moved into my policy role, even though I was a policy advisor, I still find myself fraternizing with the M&E colleagues. So they would come to meet me, Catherine, we want to develop this framework. Can you help us with this and all that? And that's where my versatility as a person comes in. And I enjoyed it, no doubt. I was doing my policy role, but my eyes was also in the M&E and I was also into programs and all of that. So that really built my capacity. And frankly speaking, I think I also believe that I'm made for more. And the more I stretch, the more growth I get. So I'm happy to stretch.
Wow.
I'm happy to create disruptions for myself. I'm happy to find out the next version of myself. Doesn't matter if we fail or we succeed. I'm happy to, jump in the ocean even without knowing how to dive
Wow.
and begin to find my way around. I mean, I could count for a risk taker when it comes to me. I don't take risks with other people or other issues, but when it's my life,
Yeah.
I think I tend to be able to take more calculated risk
Mm.
compared to taking risk with people or issues or incidences because I feel I'm in control. I could bend over backward to suit the situation. I could find, I just believe so much in the power of me and learning what's behind my fears a lot of times. So I'd say that was really the major deciding factor to switch to advisory.
Wow.
But coming to project management and strategic planning, early on before COVID, God was speaking to me about moving,
Mm.
but He didn't tell me where. And to be honest, I fought very hard to say I'm having some level of stability in my career, in my family life, also moving into Abuja, which was quite like 2 or 3 years into it. Why do you want me to move? I don't want to go anywhere. I'm enjoying this. I'm seeing a future. So I kept fighting God, like, no, I'm not hearing well. The indices are not there. They were not in support of me moving. Doesn't look like. I raised it with my husband and was like, no, 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 no. We don't have any reason to be abroad. We never planned being abroad. So it didn't make sense until I was in my home and my next door neighbor was an older, like I think it was in his 60s, just came visiting one evening and said, well, why can't you guys think about relocation? The conversations were not related. And my husband looked at me like, have you had a child with this guy? And I was like, no, we never talked about it. And then the voice became stronger, but I wasn't still persuaded. After COVID, it became I couldn't even resist it anymore. And the man was also very forceful. That my neighbor. He kept sending people my way, my husband's way.
Wow.
We told him we didn't have plans. They said, yeah, it might not be for you, for your children, might not be for the now, it might be for the future. If you go there and you don't like it, you can always come back. If you do this, I mean, he sold the dream too much. I know God was trying to say, oh, you stubborn girl, I'm going to get you. And then he was using that man to get at me. I registered at that point. I said, okay, the only place I could go is Canada. Why not? With Canada, the pathways are clear. I know the end from the beginning. Blah blah blah. So I was being such a very, strategic girl.
Yes.
I went in to do the work. I took my IELTS. I entered into the pool. I was swimming in the pool for years. I mean, for months, and no one came looking for me in the pool. Uh, one evening, I think I was just going home. My aunt, who lives in the UK, just rang me up and said, hey, what do you say you do again?
Mm.
I said, oh, I do have money. He said, no. Where do you work? I said, okay, I work for international agencies. But like, I think there's high demand for program managers and projects. I don't know what they do, but it just occurred to me to talk to you. Why not come? I said, no, I hate UK. I don't want to come. It's too conservative. The place I want to go is either Canada or something like that. And she was like, okay, oh, but you're already in school in the UK. Why not come through school? And I said, oh, I can't afford it. It's too much money. I don't want to throw myself into any emergency, financial crisis and all that. She said, we will do it together. I will do it with
Oh,
you. Think about it. How much will it cost? I said, it will be up to 50,000 pounds. I said, we will do it. I'm like, what? With three children, I said, we will do it.
wow.
It was so forceful. And I began to think about it. I wrote my school to say I want to come over. And till tomorrow, there was no cast issued to me. It was approved, but I never got any visa thing. And because of curiosity, I began to research what's this project management landscape like in the UK. And I met a lady just on a call like this, and we're chatting. I think she was doing a PhD at London School of Economics at that time. And she said, Catherine, can I see your CV again? And we looked at it. You're like, I think NHS would be a good fit for you. You've
Wow.
got very strong policy experience, monitoring and evaluation, data. You've got everything. Can you apply? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I went back to sit down and say, what skills do I have that match up with project management? And I began to do skills matching, transferable skills,
Mm.
and then did an analysis of my skills gap. What are the gaps in my skills? What would I need that I don't currently have? and I began to research into it. So I know data, I know M&E, I know evaluation, I know assurance, I know this, I know that, but I don't know this, I don't know that. So I mapped, I'll say I did a proper profile mapping for myself, career mapping. And that helped me to identify those areas that I really need to do a little bit more of jiggling around. So I get to work. I told you I love disruption. So I disrupted myself. At this point, I was doing my PhD. So I paused it for 3 months to say, I'm going to focus on this. I don't want my aunt to support me. She's got her own family. I could do this. Um, just the audacity of saying I could do this.
Mm.
And I started. I saw I didn't have any professional certifications that buttresses all of those skills that I've had. So I went in, took the exams, passed, did my profile on NHS. I began to get loads of shortlisting. But again, I'll pick that up to not say that it was a rosy journey. I had at some point 142 applications
Wow.
into different trusts for
Wow.
different vacancies on projects. And there was a particular day, I'm intentionally sharing this so that people would learn from that. I had about 30 rejections in one day before 10 a.m. on a Monday morning. I
Wow.
know I was driving to work when the rejection kept on coming. And I was so pained that I could no longer go to work. I was so destabilized. It was like an attack on me to say you're not good enough and all that. And I turned back home to say I'm going to call in sick today. Today is already a messed up day and all that. And getting home, I met my husband at the door and he said, "Why are you back?" I said, I've had like 30 rejections. He said, "Only?" I'm like, "What do you mean only? Do you know how long it takes to do one application?" And I have 30. And he said, "Yeah, but you need only one yes. You don't need the 30 no's. You need just one yes." So I'm not in support of you traveling abroad, but I'm in support of you being resilient. And that's who you are. For you to have even put in 30 for a job you don't desperately need, it shows you had a plan.
Mm.
So don't be deterred. Well, I won't lie. I took like 2 hours recess at home. I mourned the losses, and then I went back to work and I kept applying.
Wow.
And yeah, that's where I found myself in the NHS doing project management, just doing strategic planning and all. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's how I'm here.
I am just amazed. I'm sure people are like you just saying wow, 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 up and down. But I've been taking so many notes. I don't even know because I have so many. I'm just amazed. That resilience that you talked about, you shared so many things like, doing a skills mapping or matching, doing an analysis of your skills gap, then you identify the areas you needed help with, did the exams, did the certifications. And I love that you said you intentionally just kind of put your life into like those areas where it pushes you to stretch. One thing I would love to ask, I know this isn't in the question that I shared earlier, but like you said you knew that this is the kind of person you were, you like this, you like that. How were you able to identify these things about yourself? Perhaps someone is like, I want to be able to know that these are the things that I am about. How does that person go about, identifying those are the things that they are really passionate about or like? Please, can you share some?
Yeah, so I'd say I'm very, very introverted, extremely introverted. And what that does for me is it helps me stay with myself. So I do a lot of introspection. Than I speak. The things in my head, if anyone has access to it, you'll be like, how are you working?
Mm.
Why are you? I even amaze myself about the things that go on within the conversations I have within myself. So I think that's one thing that has really helped me to identify
In
who
my
I am.
if anyone has
So I go back every time, every day to see how's today gone? What true strength did I demonstrate today? What really led me into feeling like a failure? What worked well? Why did it work well? So I'm constantly discussing with myself. That's one. Then the second thing I know I do is I learned it from somebody actually at work. She's got something called a brag sheet.
Mm.
So it's more like an Excel sheet. So she brags about everything that she's done, She brags about her failure in that place that,
Mm.
oh, I actually failed at this one. That was a massive failure. And the day she showed it to me, ha, I was more like overwhelmed. So I went back, sat down with myself from the beginning of my life to say,
Wow.
what should I be proud of?
Mm.
Because at some point I was also battling with low self-esteem. So, and I looked at Psalm 23, where he was talking about David, talking about God's rod and the staff, how they comfort him. And I began to think about it. My brag sheet is my comfort. So I sit with it and say, God has given me victory over this, over that, over this, over that. We can do this, we can do that. This is a new area for us. How can we do it?
Mm.
So I have very honest conversations with myself. And I tend to keep that brag sheet.
Mm.
And I tend to also share a lot about my life with my children because they poke me and ask me questions about, so why do you think this was okay? Why didn't you do it this way? What would you say to your younger self? Things like that. So
Wow.
I share a lot of my life, not just with my children, also with people in my community to also enable me play back to myself. You know, when the words come out, you can hear it and play it back to yourself to say, how is this making sense? What does this add up? So I'll say two things. Introspection is, I mean, that's the best thing that you can give to yourself. Staying with yourself,
Mm.
being honest with yourself, embracing both the good and the bad.
Mm.
If possible, have a brag sheet. Let them comfort you. Let your brag sheet also chastise you. So the brag sheet is not just only for the things that have worked well.
Yeah.
And also, I try to see when the things are happening, I might not see that. I try to see the good in the bad that happened to me at the end of the day.
Mm.
I don't know if that's coming out how I wanted. The good in the bad that has happened to me, I try to flip it and say, okay, if this has happened, what was this teaching me? What am I learning from this? I think those really helped me. And last of it, I used to do something sometimes, not consistently. At the end of each year, people in my life, I send them more like a questionnaire about me to give me feedback about me, how is working with me, like people in my church department. What do you know about me? What would you like me to change? My friends, family. So I try to send that out. That's me now getting feedback about how I present myself. And I've seen that I score myself lower than people score me.
Mhm.
So I tend to beat myself up and other people tend to see potentials in me. So I'm trying to also embrace those things they say about me. Either I believe it or not, but I just say, oh, even if she has lied, that's her business. This is what she told me, and I run and I run with it. And those are helping me to create a better and healthy self image of me. And also being honest. I've had friends that have been very brutally honest to say, you need to show up better. You need to step out. You have so much tucked in, bring it out. I mean, and those feedback, I also put it together as part of my skill set. The
Mm.
fact that I could absorb so much and I'll still try to come out. I'll try. I don't mean boldly coming out, but I still try. I crawl out. Um, so those are the ways I was able to identify who I really am from actually the ones people see to the inner me, the real me, the core of me. And that's how I could come up with the fact that I think I like chaos and maybe I go ahead disrupting things by myself just because a new me and a better
Yeah.
me erupts.
Wow. Oof. I've definitely got some work to do.
But the work never ends.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So I know you recently did your graduation at the beginning of the year. Congratulations
Yeah,
to your PhD.
thank you.
So balancing all of that, your PhD, your career, which I know is very demanding, and you've started coaching, it sounds like intense. So what does a typical day look like for you, and how do you keep yourself grounded from day to day?
Can I show you that I'm grounded? Some days I lose it. Some days I don't show up.
Mm.
And some days I'm just in my bed, exhausted from life.
Mm.
This is me being very honest. Some days I'm so graceful. and I feel I'm on top of it. But every day is not the same. And I try to extend a little bit of grace to myself
Mm.
and listen to my body more than I listen to my to-do list
Mm.
because I also want to step out authentic. I want to step out in a very powerful way. I'm intentional about how I want to be seen and how I take on all of those. I'm not a task master. I'm
Mm.
actually an impact leader.
Ooh,
So I'd rather not step out than step out without impact.
mm.
So I've learned to give myself grace. And to be honest, there's no balancing. Some days some cup are really full and overflowing, and all other days the cup is there's nothing in the cup.
Mm.
Uh and I just acknowledge that today I don't have 10% to give. I still had such a day on Wednesday. I just called my children. I said, today's not a good day. I'm really exhausted. I can't do anything. Please don't come to me. I'm going to stay in my room all day. It has nothing to do with you. It's just about me taking back some rest for myself so I can show up better for you tomorrow. And they say, oh, we get you. And sometimes I write to my boss to say, please, can I do a night? Can I clock in at night? I'm not in a good space. And she says, oh, okay, that's fine. Is there anything that needs my attention today that's top urgent? And she will say, "Oh no, just take your time." I mean, I'm also very upfront about things like that to say, today I'm 20%, I'm 10%. I'm sure why we might argue that employers would want you to come, some employers are also sensible enough to know that you showing up as 10% does not serve any of their interest. They rather have you at 150 than have you at 10. And I also tried to say that with in my first meeting to say I've got so many balls I'm spinning and I hate to come out not authentic. Please bear with me for those hours that I need to take off is to refresh and come back better. And then I also try not to put my life on a task mode. I rather put it on what needs doing at this time. Because I found out that to-do lists, why they're so nice, they can stress you out. Somebody like me, I can be stressed out from having a very long to-do list. I rather have a sticky note of one big thing I like to achieve this week. Okay, so this week I'd like to be able to curate a course that I want to launch in the next 5 years. And that's it.
Mm.
Either I do it on a Monday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. I don't want to stress about that. What's important is at the end of Saturday, have I done it?
Mm.
Did I do it well? So I try to give myself that level of balance. I know it's not quite popular an opinion, but that works better for me than having a task. I mean, I've tried setting up alarms and all that. Each time it blows up, I'm just panicking. Like, oh my God, what's going on? I've lost it. I just knew it wasn't going to work for me. I think fundamentally knowing who you are and what works for you really helps. There are times I don't reach out to any friend. I just stay in my zone. While it's not perfectly healthy, but it helps me to stay grounded with myself. And then when I'm ready, I come back again and launch and reconnect and put in my 100%. But acknowledging that some cups will not be full. Like for the mentoring, I try to batch it. So I have like one evening or 2 evenings in a week to do mentoring.
Mm.
And I try to do group coaching because then you can come with your own personal uh, request and all that. But I try to do group coaching, find cohort of people who have related issues. Maybe it's around career planning, skills mapping. We do 1 hour session. We could do follow up and all that. And for my work, I try to also sit ahead of my job. I mean, what's in the horizon in the next 3 months? I really want to know because it's projects. Projects are a bit as much as it's dynamic in nature. You also know all the life cycles in the project ahead of time. So it helps me to also plan, prioritize, and give accommodation for those shocks of life.
Mm.
Being flexible has also really, really helped me. The days I tell my children I can't give you 100%, the days I tell my husband I don't have time to talk now, the days is at work, I have to, like today, I felt really full at work and I told my manager, I think I have to take some days off. not feeling well. And he said, "Oh, have you been to the hospital?" I said, "No, it's a sickness of the mind. I need to decompress."
Mm,
And she said, "Oh, I get it." So knowing yourself and sitting with yourself to know when one is full and the other needs to be, the volume needs to be increased. So just tuning it up and down really has helped. No day is the same with me. No day. I can't deal with the same day. I
wow.
can't. I'm not that person. Remember, I'm disruptive. I'm chaotic. I can't deal with so much routine. It's going to kill
Wow.
everything I know. It's going to kill my creativity.
Wow.
I need a bit of flexibility to do life and do it well. Otherwise, putting me in a box will just crash me. So,
Wow.
bottom line, know who you are and work
Yes. Oh my
with
goodness.
who you are.
I mean, I want to say that a big part of why I started this series is really because of that authenticity, showing up as your full self. Because one thing I'm really realizing is we put ourselves at such a disadvantage when we're trying to be like someone else. One, you're wearing a mask, so you're always constantly feeling like you're not good enough because you're not being yourself. Two, you're not even able to have those sharp edges that come naturally to you because you're trying to do like someone else. So if more people can understand that, just figuring out who you are and then showing up fully as that, everything will, I mean, it will not align perfectly, but at least it will put you in more situations where people are even more welcoming of the things that you share because now you're talking about telling your boss, oh, this is what it is. And you said you mentioned it during interviews or you mentioned it on the first day, this is how I am. And they already know it. So when you even come up and say, oh, I need some time off, they don't think that this is out of the blue. They already know that this is how you function, and you're already even showing up fully in the areas or in the seasons that you can show up fully, meaning that they know that when you're your full self, they get value out of you. So you're not just there making excuses. So that authenticity, I think, is so key. Thank you so much for highlighting, like in different ways you've just expressed it. I'm just amazed. Thank you. So I know you had your PhD, something in renewable energy, and now you're working in the NHS. Have there been like any moments where you spotted an unexpected connection between those two worlds?
So I would say I try to explain my PhD thesis with motherhood.
I love
So,
that.
so the core, the grandmom that gave birth to all the children is actually triple helix.
Mm,
So my thesis is trying to devolve triple helix, meaning collaboration between and government, university, and private sector. So telling us how can they collaborate to innovate? What's the what's the point of intersection? Can one take on the role of the other? And then come up with disruption for innovation. So renewable energy was just the case study.
okay.
So coming to the health sector, I see it at play every day. So I'll talk about okay, so maybe cancer research or cancer. Because I worked briefly at the Magnolia Center for Cancer Treatments in York Hospital. And at that point, it was really vivid because we had a lot of the doctors being professors at the universities. There were also government staff, or let me say NHS being the government in that circumstance. And then you see private sector, maybe not private sector, but third sector like charities supporting cancer research, supporting cancer patients. You see, yeah, because there was one I worked for at that time, I think is cancer, something against cancer. Um, they were all just collaborating. And I think God intentionally created my path to come into health to see it at play because my first project actually had the three of them in practice.
Wow.
So I would say the grandmother of my work is Triple Helix model of innovation. And in the ed sector is even more practical,
Wow.
more visible than it is in the power sector. So on a daily basis, when you work across maybe some kind of innovation, say AI or robotics for medicine, you would know that's triple helix. Somebody funded that research. Someone produced the prosthetics. Government perhaps did the regulation and all of those around it. That's the cross of my work to say no one person can actually create sustainable innovation. We need three elements. In fact, sometimes part of my thesis was also saying we need beyond three people. We need a third sector to come in as an active player because in places like West Africa, Nigeria especially, you see a lot of donor agencies playing very huge role in shaping innovation, in shaping government policies, in shaping the private sector. The contribution is enormous in those climb as compared to developed nations where the third sector is not that um visible. They do a lot of things, but it's not as much as you would find in a place like Nigeria. With our experience back home and working in international development, you see a lot of roles being played by these donor agencies or development partners, as we may call it. So on a daily basis, I see that in the NHS almost every time. Currently, I'm working on a digital solution for health protection, and I work every day with the three people.
Wow.
The people building the website or this, let me not say website, the service is private sector. I am working for the government in that sense as NHS. And then the third party are university. So we call them earth boards, but they are usually attached to a university. So
Mm.
you see them trying to help us shape the narrative of
Wow.
the service, to tell us the research behind it, to say, oh, pneumonia might be a thing for children in the next 10 years because we have the data to support it. So build your system in such a way that is resilient to
Wow.
pneumonia in the next 10 years. And then the private sector comes back to say, oh, this is not going to be cost effective for us. If you use this particular solution, it's going to have so and so and so and so issues in the time to come. Oh no, I don't know what's going on my charger. Just a minute.
Okay. That's fine. Man, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just making so many notes. Like I never would have thought about that connection at all. Collaboration truly is key to making sustainable impact. Thank you so much. You okay?
Yes, I'm
Good.
good.
Yay. Please carry
Yeah.
on.
So that's how I've been able to find the intersection. So anywhere, anytime, I think triple L is holds potence. The theory, the model itself is as efficient as possible in across all sector, even education. Every sector would have some level of should expect some level of disruption in form of innovation or an upgrade of the system. And innovation doesn't have to be something very drastic, just
Yeah.
be a top up on what's currently exists. So yeah, I see that. I think it's even more pronounced. I didn't go into it thinking I'll find it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And I think some of my conclusions were actually enhanced by my lived in experience working in the NHS, even though I was talking about renewable energy. The other twist to it was also the fact that I was trying to put two systems side by side, a developed nation and a developing nation. And what are those factors that makes that collaboration work in a developed nation that do not currently exist in a developing nation? And I found that really, really exciting.
Hmm. Yes, I was about to ask you more questions on that, but I feel like we won't stop talking if we continue on that. We'll take it offline because I'm really keen to to hear about that, especially when it comes to like how we can apply that to making Nigeria a much better place. But back to the question. So, when you wanted to start your PhD, like, what was do you remember any tough conversations you had to have, maybe with yourself or a mentor or something, that just, I guess, was there any tough conversation you had to have when you decided?
And I'll give this talk back to Professor Chidiebere on, yeah.
Yes.
It was the one I had the conversation with, and the conversation was hinged on two or three things. Excuses that would should dissuade me from taking it.
Mm.
That was what was paramount in my mind. This I wasn't one of those people that were born and thought, oh, I want to do a PhD. I was never that person. I didn't think about it. I think most of the things that have happened in my life, I did not sit down at one point and be, orchestrating my life. This is how I
Imagine it. Yeah.
I never imagined them. So sometimes I let go and I allow God to lead me to wherever He's putting in my mind to go.
Mm.
And so at the point I had, before moving to Abuja, where I met Prof, I had an offer to do my PhD at Babcock University. But one of the conditions was that I have to come into school because there was a coursework part of it for like 2 years, and attendance was supposed to be 80%.
Mm.
Babcock was not in Lagos. So it means when I land in Lagos from Abuja, I still have to do like a 2 hour trip or 1.5, 2 hours because of traffic and all that. It wasn't practical for me. So it's either I do the PhD that way or I let go. So I let go. So it made me have the desire to want to take it. So one of those days when the thing was pushing me and I was trying to excuse it to say, oh, my children need me. I'm just getting into a new job, a new city. Let me take my time. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. So I had a conversation with him that day. And the first question he asked me was, no, the first thing I put to him was that I'm not brilliant.
Mm.
I'm not a bookish person. Can't understand why I want to do a PhD. I'm not in the 90th percentile in school. I don't do, I'm just barely average, or maybe a little bit above average. Just that's how I see myself. So I remember I said it to him. I said, Prof, I'm an Olodo that is trying to do a PhD. Do you know I'm heading for disaster?
Mm.
And he just smiled sweetly, softly at me and said, that's true. You're right. I said, the second thing is, Prof, I'm thinking about doing a PhD abroad and I'm earning Naira and I'm not ready to leave Nigeria. And it was like, okay, that's a thing. So you've said two things in that. One, you can't afford it. Two, you don't want to leave the country. And he said, and so why would these be excuses? And he's like, Catherine, I don't even have time to talk to you about this thing. He said, do me a decision paper like you would do if we are going to the office of the vice president to talk about these issues. Tell me why this would not be possible and how it can be possible. Just do a decision note.
Mm.
Like, why would you leave me with this? I said, do it first, then we'll talk about it. And I did it, and he said, okay, you are going to present this. I did it in a slide, Nana. And I talked to him in that boardroom that day, presenting all of my excuses. And he said, Catherine, do you know what the fundamental problem is? I
Mm.
said, no. He didn't even listen to all the things. He just allowed me to whine and talk and said, you're just afraid.
Wow.
You're afraid of failure. And it's a normal fear. It shows you are a humble person.
Mm.
Said, so now let's flip over to what you said can make it possible. Said, so let's go and implement it. Today, you're opening a bank account with Zenith Bank as as a pound DOM account. So now you've told me you've done a financial plan of how this would work, right? It would mean that you save up so amount every month. And if you save up this so amount every month, are you going to die? I said, not exactly, but I won't be able to live the life I want. And he said, yeah, but you didn't have this job some years back. Were you alive? I said, yes, I was. Said, so you will live again, just like you lived the last time.
Mm.
And that was it. And he made me open that account that very day. I think he called one of his bank manager or officer to open me that account. And then he said, today, this very day, you are going to commit to that bank account. Even if it's £50 you have, you're going to deposit it as opening this account. And that was it. And he told me, Catherine, people who have passed, they do PhD. You don't need to be brilliant.
Mm.
You just need to want it.
Mm.
And it looks to me like you want it. That's why you're making excuses.
Mm,
People who don't want it won't even consider it.
mm. Wow.
And that was how I sowed the seed of me wanting it. And I got home trying to want it. And I'm saying trying, not that I wanted it. I was trying to want it. And also because I'm a chronic recovering people pleaser, I began to want to please Prof, not
Mm,
myself.
mm,
I wanted to please him and not disappoint him because I felt like he had so much faith in me than I had in myself at that time. So
mm,
I said, for his sake, I'll keep doing well. I don't want to call it people please. Maybe I had so much respect for him.
mm,
Yeah, I think that's the right word. I had so much respect for him. And I also appreciate the fact that not everybody is interested in you. They don't want to hear you. People don't care. But it showed me that care. It's not my family, it's not my friend, it's not my age mates. We had nothing. And I think God has also helped me to understand when people show me love, it sits in a very deep place in my heart.
mm,
Because I know it's not easy to get people who really love you genuinely for nothing.
mm,
So I try to hold on to those people.
mm,
So I could call it people pleasing in my head, but in the real sense, I try to cash out on the people pleasing. It's also to my advantage.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I'm going to send Prof a message after this because
Yes, please.
for those of you watching, we met Prof about the same time, I think, but he had this leadership session he used to hold in our office, I think every week or so. And it was very simple in the sense that he would share an article with us and we would just, read it and sit down and discuss, and he would just kind of challenge us and have us thinking differently. And it's so powerful because now that I'm having this chat with Catherine, I'm like looking and thinking about all the other people that were in that room and all the things they are doing now. And beyond just doing amazing things in their own lives, is that they too have taken on that extra step to mentoring and coaching others. Like it's so powerful when you meet someone that just, ignites something in you.
Yeah. I call him transformational leader. It
Oh,
transforms you. Your life does not remain the same again.
wow, that's really, I mean, like Prof is really special.
Yeah.
And I love how you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the NHS and how God like pretty much directed your path into it, because you wouldn't have seen that there was any links between health and what you were doing in your PhD. Until you said it, I didn't think about it either. So it's just amazing how God can just kind of direct our paths. And I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about when God first brought the idea to you of relocating and how long it took you to get to that point where you're like, okay, let's go. What came to my mind when you were sharing it is that when God gives us, like He created us, so He knows us very well and He knows how long it can take for us to get to get warmed up to an idea. So I'm like, I'm sure God was like, yeah, I know this guy is going to take this many years. Let me drop, let me drop this idea now.
Someone.
It will gradually warm up and warm up and warm up, you know. And I guess I'm saying that to, I guess, encourage someone not to feel like, they are big enough to spoil God's plans for you. Like you're not big enough to spoil God's plans for you. He knows exactly how He's made you. So don't, I guess my point, don't look at what other people are doing or how they are responding, or just focus on you. And I think something that's really stood out as Catherine has been sharing her journey is how that like commitment to learning more and more about who she is, because you've got to have that PhD in yourself, because it's just you and you at the end of the day. And when we get to the finish line, you're only going to be judged on you, not how other people responded to you or whatever. So any excuses you have, anyone you're comparing yourself to, anyone you're trying to be, please set that aside and just really hone in on yourself. And then I promise you that God is sending the right people your way to help you. Like there's certain people that we've all come across that have just kind of, even if it's just having, even if it's not even in the most positive way, sometimes the wrong things, people saying those things to us have kind of like gingered us or spurred us on to want more for ourselves. So your path is not it's not a mistake. It's not a fluke. It's intentionally designed. So just lean into that. Um, Okay, so now you've had such an interesting journey. In seasons of doubt, even in this process where you're like creating the chaos, I'm sure you're like, what am I doing sometimes? Like, what inner values or like maybe confessions or mantra, what are the things that like helped you like lean on and keep moving forward?
Very stubborn faith.
Double faith, I love that.
Stubborn faith. It's not just any kind of faith. It's a stubborn one. Um, and then I remember this particular word. Two people actually said these two things to me, and I'm going to reference them by name. Dr. Titi Akindende.
Mm,
She once said something. She wasn't talking to me. She was just saying it to someone else randomly, but it stuck with me. She said, "You can have it all, but not all at once." And when I'm going through seasons that looks like it's failure, I just remind myself that I can have it all. Maybe not now, maybe not in this form, maybe not in this shape, but I can have it all. Maybe not all at once.
mm,
So it helps me to sectionize what I'm going through and the chaos I'm creating and say, okay, let's batch it. Let's conquer this chaos first, and then we'll go to the next one.
but
Then another friend also said this to me some years back to say, take the decision regardless.
mm,
Even if it is not the right one, trust that God will turn it around.
mm,
And I think that those two words always pick the faith in me to say, oh, no, let's do it afraid. Let's do it regardless. Let's do it trembling. Let's do it. Let's do it regardless. So, of course, I have loads of doubts. In my bed, I'm shivering like, what did you just do?
mm,
How are we going to deal with this? You've come again. Can't you just learn? Can you not just stay on your lane? Must you do this? Why are you always disrupting? You have a very good flow. You just go and point it in the middle. What's this? And then I remind myself again that I've got a big God backing me. And if this is not the right decision, I trust him to navigate me back to the right place.
mm,
So if by mistake I enter into something, maybe there's a lesson for me to learn there. Maybe I need it for the future. Maybe somebody else would need this. Maybe it's not even just for me.
mm,
I believe my life, my doubts, my fears are tools in my toolbox. I might not be the one who needs it. Someone else might need size 5 spanning
mm,
because I've gone through a size 5 trauma or size 5 trouble or size 5 win. I
mm,
can bring it out to say, hey, you don't have to stress. I have this. Let's use it. So even if that's all God wants to use with my do with my life, I'm content. I'm content. And that has been what has always helped me out in moments of doubt to know that I've got God. Every mistake becomes a testimony along the line. It's
mm,
just going to be temporary.
mm.
We get through to this too. We get it done. We put it behind us.
Wow.
And again, that's staff and rod. I
Yeah.
don't forget that analysis.
Wow.
Um, Even if it's a rod, still to comfort me.
Wow.
But that keeps me going.
Uh, Amazing, Catherine. I'm so inspired. More than normal self. Thank you. I feel like you kind of set a fire. I actually needed it because sometimes you feel like you're putting in so much work, but like nothing is really coming out of it. But I think just like kind of listening to some of the things you've shared, I'm like, yeah, I'm so inspired. Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Glad.
as a mentor, how do you help emerging leaders find and lean on? Because you shared some of the things that have kind of kept you going. Like, how do you, help those emerging leaders? How do you teach them? I don't know if it's something you can teach, but if you were going to tell them, okay, you need to have something that you're holding on to, how do you usually communicate that with them?
Got some tools that I share with people. And one of it is that introspection. You can't do nothing if you don't know yourself. You need to know yourself.
Mm,
So I've got some tools to help them map out who am I in the skip of things. I think everything falls and rises on identity. So who you are is at the core of who you can become.
mm-hmm,
So even if you don't have it all, acknowledge who you are at the moment. And then I try to also help women see what's the big picture. Where do we really want to get to? And not just saying what we really want to. I follow a lot of people on social media. I don't follow them for what they say. I follow them because I have a picture of them in my head that I want to be. I don't know what they say, to be honest. Some people, I don't know what they say. I just see some people and I connect to them. And I'm like, this looks like who I would like to be.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
I begin to dig them, say, so what's up with this person?
mm,
And then begin to create a mental picture of myself. I have my escape routes in my head of the future I really want. Sometimes I write them down. Sometimes, I think the first book I wrote when I got to the UK, I've not published it, is 6,000 miles.
wow.
Yeah, 6,000 miles was a journey of my Nigerian self and the UK me I want.
Mm,
So 6,000 miles is just me talking about the future that I want now that I'm here.
mm,
And so I try to tell people to also have that mantra of that woman because there's so much distraction in this world. It might not happen for you on a straight path. It just helps you to stay grounded.
mm,
You might not even eventually become that woman. But once you don't have a vision, you'll be swayed by anything along the line. Have a vision, but let God lead. So if that your vision is not God's vision, align.
mm,
But have something, be grounded to say, this is who I would like to be if God wants it for me. But the challenge we also have, because I also do this with people of faith, is that we stay a lot in the place of prayer, but we have no strategy. I've seen this with so many women. They pray, 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 but there's no strategy.
mm,
There's no clarity, in fact. It's not just strategy, there's no clarity about what they really want from the future. That future self you're praying about, you don't even have any picture to take to God.
mm,
You don't even have any, substance of God. Is this the lady
mm,
or not?
mm,
So I try to give tools to help young women, young ladies start from the point of knowing who you are. So who would I like to be? I won't say who do you want. Who would I like to be? Because again, we subject that to the will of Christ.
mm,
Who do I want to be? Tools and storytelling. Sharing your own successes and your failures. I think have been the biggest motivational point for me. I've had so many feedback to say, Catherine, because no, I've had someone said this to me to say, if you don't have faith, lean on Catherine's faith. I use your faith. Like, I just stay in my closet and say, listen, if Catherine were to be this person,
mm,
if Catherine were to be me, she won't give up. She will silently, quietly go to her room. I'm on issues, I'm on things. When I chase something and it doesn't work, I could mourn it for 2 days. I'll be in my room mourning. I could even announce it to say I am mourning a loss. Because I know that if I decide not to mourn it, it will bite me again. It will become an emotion that I've suppressed. So
yeah.
it's okay to mourn the loss of anything you've chased and it didn't work out. But again, as I'm mourning, I'm like, now that we didn't have this one, which one can we have?
Mm,
Where's the low hanging fruit? I need something to hold on to.
yeah.
And I take that to God, like, I can't suffer this loss and not have another.
Mm,
Father, give us, even if it's small, give me something to appease my heart and make me happy again. Please, no matter how small this win is, even if it's an old friend, let them call me and just give me words of comfort. So I think, not thinking, what I do with women is to give them tools and then share stories. Stories that inspire, stories that encourage. I think we don't do so much of that as Black women. We hide a lot of our stories, a lot of our pain, a lot of our journey. We paint it like though it's rosy. They don't hear the 30 rejections you get in one day and how you went back home, you couldn't face it, you were not bold enough. But we come out to say, oh, I got 3 offers, I got 5 offers, I had to do this. And how about this process? Share the process too. So people know that this 3 offers will not just fall on their lap, but also that they have to work for it. And there will be a lot of disappointments along the way. But resting in the assurance that we've got a God that's got you, no matter what, is what will keep you going. Yeah, so that's what I do with my cohorts.
Amazing. I too believe strongly in the power of storytelling. It's so, so, so important, especially when you see someone sharing a story that is from a place that's similar to where you're from. That's why I'm so keen again on this series because I feel like the everyday person, you need to be able to see and hear their story so that you're like, okay, I too can do this. I too can do that. Sometimes when you're seeing like the white man, for lack of a better word, or the white woman, sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect, and you can start to even disqualify yourself before you get the chance to actually apply. So when you hear a Catherine that's from Nigeria and that shared
From village.
and she shared, I'm like, she's done this, and it started from, one day. So why not me too? I'm so passionate about us getting our voices out there because we must show up fully as ourselves.
Mm.
That's why they say that representation matters. We must show up fully as ourselves, who we are, the way God made us to be. He didn't make a mistake making you Nigerian or, from Ogun State or Kano State or whatever state you're from. He didn't make a mistake that you were raised in a particular type of family. It was intentional, every part of it. So if you can really own it, embrace all of that, then you can be a true force in the world because you'll be showing up exactly as God designed for you to show up. And when He designed you, He had a plan in mind. He said, this is a problem, you're going to solve it. So thank you for the work that you do. And thank you so much for sharing your story. So I think last two questions. Because this is one of my favorite questions. I always ask people if you could send a note or if you could give advice to your younger self, what would you tell her, Catherine?
Hey, my younger self has heard so much. So I do something. I write to my younger self and I write to my future self.
Wow, love that.
Um, and
Yeah.
the two of them, I'm sure they just look at me and say, "Oh, girl, cool down." So I would say to my younger self, my I was quite a misunderstood child. So I come across as very calm, very quiet, very reserved, highly introverted. I've always been introverted. And so people think very little of me. And I told myself, even my younger self, that that was our superpower.
Hmm.
People undermining you was our superpower.
Hmm.
And I'll still tell my younger self that thank you for making people undermine us
Hmm.
because that was our superpower. People didn't think much of me. They didn't think it's just that girl in the corner. It's just that girl doesn't talk. It's just that. So the expectations were almost negligible. And I want to thank her for allowing us a very smooth young childhood, very smooth sail. We
Wow.
went unnoticed, unscathed,
Wow.
and she brought me here.
Wow.
So I want to say thank you to that young self for allowing people to undermine us.
Hmm.
In fact, for masking it as low self worth, even when we knew we had a lot burning inside, we allowed people do all kinds and we were learning.
Hmm.
So I'd say thank you to that self for allowing people undermine us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And to your future self?
Oh, we've just started the ride. Oh, so the scripture that I quote to my future self is eyes have not seen it, neither has it entered into the heart of man. What God will do with us. I just believe the future is our dancing stage. So welcome to the new world, to my future self.
Oh my goodness. I am so, guys, let me just end this here so that I can really tell Catherine how I feel. I'm like, if you cannot see it, but I'm just, I'm totally crushing on you. I'm just amazed. Thank you so much. Guys, This is one of those ones that you need to go back and listen to again. I'm going to try to come up with like some great, you said a lot of great things. I'm going to try to come up with at least like 5 or 6 key things and put it on LinkedIn so that people can, be referring to it, even for me, for my own notes. Thank you so much for your precious time. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I feel so very honored to be here. Thank you very much. Thanks for the amazing work you're doing from all the way back from Daughters Projects and to this. And now you are doing amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you for leading the call. Thank you for being passionate about development and growth for everyone. Thank you so much. I feel very honored.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, guys, we're going to end this here, but me and her, we're still going to be chatting. So I'll catch you guys next month. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wow, Catherine.